Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be giving the full updated odds breakdown on all of the swing states. This is via Polymarket, the big time betting market, and this does mainly reflect the polls when it comes to where people are placing their money. And I'm going through all of the different markets here. I do only think there might be 7 markets. Like, they really need to add Virginia and some other ones. But this is just via Polymarket. So I want to look through it and see kind of the trends recently. A lot of these states probably trending towards Harris. The main reason is because of these liberal polls coming out, but a lot of them are very close. So you've got Pennsylvania right now. It is basically 50-50. You do have Harris, maybe a slight favorite. And then you can go to the graph and see, I guess, the recent trend within the past week. It does have Harris sitting right around, I'd say, 52 to 50%. So, I mean, I would say Pennsylvania, in terms of the election odds, is basically a pure toss-up, 50-50. But if I had to say, I mean, I think Trump's going to win Pennsylvania for sure based on a number of things, like voter registration, like the early voting, the mail-in ballot requests being so much more significantly down for Democrats than Republicans, as well as overall favorability in state. And by the way, that Senate race, according to many polls now, is extremely close, which is very good news for Trump. If that's really close, you would figure Trump would perform at least 1.5 to 2 points better to where he would win the state relatively easily. So they've got Pennsylvania, basically a toss-up, not too surprising. When it comes to North Carolina, Trump's sitting at a 55% chance. This is a state the Democrats really want, and it's not surprising why. Their math this year is a lot worse than it's been in years past, with Ohio and Florida both being purely Republican states. They've got Trump at a 55% chance to win. This is all based on bets and demand. And I would say certainly I would give Trump probably a 65 to 70% chance to win. In terms of this, you can see recently, I mean, this has gone down in the past month by about 10 points overall, or 10% for Trump. He was around 64 cents to the dollar. And you can see it's gone down based off some recent polls, or I guess maybe some news. I really haven't seen too many bad polls out of North Carolina. I mean, we saw a pretty good poll, I thought, a few days ago that had Trump up by 3, or maybe that was Georgia. But North Carolina, to me, I would say Trump probably around a 75% chance at this point. They've got him at 55. The reason you would say it's close is because of the polling. And also you could argue, well, 2016, he won the state by 3.5. 2020, he won the state by 1.5. So that is a negative trend of 2 points, but you also have to factor in Trump's in a much better position nationally in terms of just overall popular vote polls this year than he was in 2020 or 2016, and his approval rating is significantly better than it was in 2020 or 2016 as well. So when you factor all of that in, I would say, I mean, at a certain point, yeah, Trump was around 83% chance. See, the problem is when you go to zoom it out, you see when Trump was facing Biden and he was just like a lock to win all these states, sitting around 83% chance, and it's come down, but I would expect this to stop. This is like at its lowest point we've seen it in North Carolina for Trump, which is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's concerning, but you would like to see that go back up, and I think it will go back up. If you want to argue this is good value for Trump when it comes to betting, I think the main problem with betting on stuff like this, it's just not a great return on investment, because it's like, it's going to take months. You know, we're not even a month away from the election, so you're going to put money in, and you're going to be waiting until, you know, the election, unless you wanted to put a lot of money in. Georgia, you can see Trump sitting 59% chance, basically 60, so 6 in 10 chance Trump wins in terms of this. Based on the recent movement, you can see, obviously, if you zoom it all the way out, Trump was around 80% chance versus Biden. He dropped all the way down to around 52, 53, but he's brought it back up to around a 60% chance in Georgia. And there was a very positive poll from the Atlanta Journal, the liberal pollster, that they came out and they said Trump was +3 in Georgia. So I think Georgia is a huge state. Liberals really want North Carolina and Georgia. That's 32 electoral votes right there. If Trump, I mean, obviously you'd love to see Trump win both of those. Worst case scenario, you'll settle for a split, and I think Trump is going to get a split. I mean, the odds of him losing both of those states are very small. I think winning both of those states, I'd give him like a 55 to 60% chance. Losing both of those states, I think it's very small. Although the problem is these elections are decided by very narrow margins. We saw it with Georgia. It was 0.3. It wasn't even a half a point in terms of Trump losing it. but that was an aberration election. Georgia is an SEC state. It's a Republican state, and they had a bunch of ballot harvesting in inner cities, and the turnout in inner cities was totally unsustainable. And they're already saying that it's going to be a lower turnout election, which is going to help Trump out significantly in a state like Georgia, where you had all these numbers that pumped up Biden and barely got him across the finish line, even with all of that and all the mail-in crap by 0.3. So without all of that, I think Trump ends up taking the state. It's still going to be close, probably by 2 or 3 points at least, and he is the favorite right now in Georgia. A lot of these are very, very close. You do have Nevada basically 50-50. I think Trump's sitting in a good spot in Nevada right now. There have been a few polls that have come out that have been a little bit closer, like tied. I know Trump was leading there for a little while. Yeah, you can see recently, since Kamala took over, she was sitting at around a 55% chance. It's ebbed and flowed, and now it's around 50. So it's 50-50 in Nevada. I think Trump should feel decent in Nevada. I feel like liberals really aren't trying a ton in Nevada and Arizona. They would much rather take Georgia and North Carolina. Of course, that's hard because if you lose those states, you're pretty much screwed if you don't give yourself another path. That's why it's good for Trump to have Nevada and Arizona. But you can see Nevada basically 50-50. I think Trump's the slight favorite in Nevada, honestly. You do have Wisconsin. This doesn't surprise me. There's been more positive polls for Harris out of Wisconsin, so this is just a reflection of that at 57%. You can see via the graph recently. She did hit 60%, went back down, went back up, and now it's coming back down a little bit. So when it comes to Wisconsin, if you're Trump, with her at 57%, with how bad the polls have underestimated Trump, you have to feel very confident about Wisconsin at this point. If you go into election night losing Wisconsin in terms of the polls by an average of like 1 point based on the 6-point polling error, I mean, you can't expect that again. And I don't think anyone is really expecting it. See, that's one of the things that people say, well, you can't expect Trump to outperform the polls this crazy again. Well, no, nobody's expecting that, but all he has to do is outperform him by like half a point and he wins. If he outperforms them like he did in 2020, he's going to get like 320 electoral votes. He doesn't need to do that based on how close a lot of these polls are. In Georgia's case, he's like leading the polls in Georgia. He's leading the polls in North Carolina, basically. Pennsylvania, you could argue it's like tied. Wisconsin, he's down by 1, and that's a state he's traditionally overperformed versus the polls. And same thing with with Michigan, where he's overperformed. But at this point, I would say definitely, in terms of the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania is his best chance, and that's over 50%. And then I would still say Wisconsin and Michigan, he's got a relatively high chance. This is interesting. Arizona, Trump's sitting at a 62% chance. So it's very clear, at least according to the betting, that Arizona is going to be an easier state to win, at least at this point for Trump, than Nevada. And you can see, obviously, when Biden was dealing with all the stuff, Trump went up to around a 74% chance. He went all the way back down to 51, and now he's seen a decent surge in terms of the betting markets in Arizona. So I would say he's the clear favorite right now in Arizona, and the markets reflect, and they say Nevada could be tougher to win than Arizona. But certainly, I think Nevada and Arizona are slight Trump leans, with possibly Arizona being a little bit more of a Trump lean. We've seen a lot of good early voting numbers, a lot of good voter registration numbers coming out of Arizona. And certainly that's a state, based on where it's located with immigration and everything like that, I think that's a state that Trump's going to win. If Trump can take Nevada and Arizona being the bigger one because it's got more electoral votes, it's going to make his life a lot easier, let alone possibly also looking at Virginia, which I don't even think they have a market for Virginia. But Virginia is becoming potentially a swing state. We'll have to see if we can get it there. But you do also have Michigan. So this is the one where Harris, you would say, I guess, is the favorite there in Michigan. This would be the Rust Belt state that I guess is a little bit more liberal. However, I would say it's still around 50-50. You can see her odds ballooned up to 67% chance. They went all the way back down to 53, and now they're back up to 65. Yeah, there was a time where the polls looked very good for Trump in Michigan, and I really don't think they look that bad. We've just got an onslaught of very liberal pollsters, and if you want to say, well, they've corrected themselves, I mean, that's like fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. I mean, these pollsters, how inaccurate they've been in terms of polling Trump in 2016 and 2020. It's just very hard to take these polls seriously when they spit out Quinnipiac saying Harris leads Pennsylvania by 5. Like, okay, like again, for like the 5th time now, or I guess the 3rd time now we're going to do this. But it's all these liberal pollsters coming back from the dead. They weren't even putting out polls during, when Biden was facing Trump, and then Harris takes over. And now, like the past week, we've got an onslaught of them. And you can see the recent odds have reflected with Michigan being potentially a little bit more liberal in terms of that. So at this point, the odds are saying Pennsylvania's 50-50. You've got North Carolina, slight Trump lean. You've got Georgia, slight Trump lean. You've got Nevada, basically 50-50. You've got Wisconsin, slight Democrat, Dem lean. Arizona, Trump lean. And then Michigan, very slightly liberal lean. How about this? Trump winning every swing state. At this point, it's got a 50. So that's, I guess, all the states they were talking about. Yeah, certainly. I think Trump, these are pretty good odds for Trump to win all the swing states. Right now, he's at, 15% chance? I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if Trump won all these states. I mean, the one state you could say maybe not Nevada, maybe not Michigan, but you would have to figure the Rust Belt is probably going to vote together. I think that's a pretty good value play, honestly. Pennsylvania margin of victory, Trump by 2.5. It's probably going to be Trump by like 1.5, honestly, if I had to guess in terms of that. Will Harris win all 6 swing states? 24% chance. There's 0% chance she's winning all 6 swing states. That is a joke. But when it comes to the election, that is it. I do want to look at just the overall odds right now. So it's still Harris 51, Trump at 48. In terms of that, which party wins? Where's the popular vote odds? I think they've got like Harris at a 75% chance. Will Biden resign before the election? 4% chance. Yeah, that could be their big October surprise. I'm guessing this is down from where it was at a certain point. Yeah, it was like a 40% chance of it happening right when Biden announced that he wasn't going to be running for re-election. I mean, it could happen. Really, this can't predict it. There's going to have to be news that comes out that pushes the market up, and then we'll have to see. Because normally those things, there'll be rumors of it happening, and then it happens. So it'll be reflected in there. Number of debates, Trump and Harris, obviously, it's going to be one. I could pretty much guarantee it. This would be a free lock, but, I mean, it's not really worth it, 72%. But, yeah, Trump has already said it's not happening. Harris tried to embarrass Trump by agreeing to a CNN debate. It's hilarious. I mean, if you're Harris and you really want to be a badass, honestly, because Trump's already said that he's not debating again, why not agree to a Fox News debate and then make Trump deny that? But of course, what happened is Trump agreed to 3 debates. There was supposed to be a Fox News debate on September 4th. She was afraid of Fox News because they're, I guess, conservative. So she was afraid of their moderator, so she didn't show up to the debate, and that turned into a Trump town hall. And then Trump did the debate on the 10th. It was ridiculously biased. One of the moderators, Lindsay Davis, admitted it was biased against Trump because they didn't want to appear like CNN to where they weren't fact-checking Trump, and they said they only fact-checked Trump and not Harris. Those are the moderators admitting it. So it was really biased against Trump. Trump says, no, I'm not doing these debates on these liberal networks. Harris realizes that. Her campaign agrees to the debate, knowing Trump was not going to agree to it. The CNN debate, that is today. So she can say, see, oh, you're such a baby. You won't agree to it. Try and embarrass him, when in reality, Trump had a debate scheduled with her on Fox News, and this is totally fair because it was going to be Fox News and then ABC, conservative and then liberal, but this is these people. Everything has to be pampered to them. They cannot appear on a conservative network. She wants to do the debates, but they all have to be liberal. The moderators have to be on their side, and so they need everything pampered for them like little babies. So it does look like there's only going to be one debate, but they're Trying to swing it like, oh, Trump is do not let them do that. Trump agreed to a debate, and it's very fair. It's not like Trump said, we're only going to do debates on conservative networks. Trump said, we will do a debate on the 4th of September on Fox News, conservative. We will do a debate on September 10th on ABC, liberal. And then we'll do a debate, I think it was like September 26th on CBS, which is also liberal. So Trump was very fair. They're the ones that are really, really sad, and they're trying to swing it like Trump won't agree. Yeah, because you won't do a single conservative network. You are a pathetic, sad person, Kamala, and I mean, you can't even do the bare minimum. She won't appear on a conservative network for a debate. Trump just did a liberal network where the moderators admitted they were biased against him. Can you do a conservative network? You can't. But excuse me, I should, this was about polling and stuff, so... But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.